Jaguars prepare to take on the top team in the AFC, who's going to need to have a big game on Sunday if they want to take down the Ravens.
Devin Lloyd, he's going to have to be able to get out to the flat because Lamar Jackson loves to throw those short little passes to Zay Flowers, and he gets open easily. And he's also going to have to know where Lamar Jackson is, because if you lose sight of him, you're in trouble.
I'm going to say Calvin Ridley. You need a big play. You need big plays from above the X's and O's players in big games.
Welcome into Jags AM, presented by Fields Auto Group. I'm Kainani Stevens. Brian Sexton, John Oehser are with me today as we get prepared for Sunday Night Football against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, last week, the team went up against one of the best defenses in the league, probably number 1 and 1A and 1B. So big thing number 1 this week is going to be 1A and 1B, because 1B would be the Ravens, who are the second best technically, but one of the top defenses in the league, and they're going to be a tough test for the Jaguars on Sunday night.
I mean, they just have a great defense all the way around, not even just pass rush, on the back end. Their linebackers, I mean, they have some of the best linebackers in football. Kyle Hamilton, too, is another guy I played in college, and I think he might have been hurt last year when we played him, but that's a guy I'm somewhat familiar with. He's a great player. They're a really talented defense, but they're also really smart. They do a great job in playing, sound and really on the same page. Everyone knows their assignment and knows what they're doing. They play really fast. I think that's the biggest thing, is they know what they're doing and they play fast and they're physical.
Brian, the Jags were able to score pretty readily against the Browns. They didn't win the game, but does that mean that translates over to Baltimore, or is that a completely different situation?
Well, I mean, they're different styles of defense. Here's what you know about the Ravens. The Ravens lead the league with 49 sacks, and their win percentage, because they've got guys with 11, 7.5, and 6 sacks. So their win percentage is about 10% of the time they're affecting the quarterback. It's going to create problems, but if you protect decent enough, right, depending on who's on the left side of the line, you give yourself a chance to be able to score against the Ravens. It's not like people don't score against these teams. It's not like the great Ravens teams of the early 2000s, where you were lucky. I can remember one game where the Jaguars got 5 field goals, where you were lucky to score at all. They could score, but they've got to protect first.
Yeah, protection's key. I think it's particularly key because it's hard to imagine the running game with Travis Etienne, with the interior of the offensive line, struggling in that area. It's hard to imagine the running game piling up 120, 130 ball control yards. I think the running game can get some big plays, some pops, and make the Ravens respected. It would help. But barring that, you have to protect, because there's going to be passing situations where they have to convert big third downs. To me, third downs and big plays are the way you beat the Ravens, because they're going to get you a couple times on their defense.
And I'll say this, John, last week the Jaguars had Blake Hance and Tyler Shatley on the left side of their line, and they were facing the best defensive pass rusher in football and a really good defensive front. And they were all right. They had 27 points, and they were, within shouting distance at the end of the game. So you'd like to think that if Walker Little can play, and he's practicing a bit this week, and if Ezra Cleveland can get out on the field, and he's practicing a little bit this week, that you give yourself a fighting chance at home.
Our second big thing this week, or today I should say, is going to be MVP again, because on the other side of the ball, the Ravens have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Lamar Jackson, impressive in a comeback win last week, and he will also be a tough matchup for this Jaguars defense.
Great football player, great quarterback. One of the things he's doing, this year, I think, which was a point of emphasis for them, obviously throwing the ball a little bit more from the pocket, and he's done a nice job for that. And it takes all 11 on defense. You just can't, you can't let your guard down with him, obviously, not only in the run game but the pass game as well. When you get an opportunity to tackle him, you got to tackle him.
John, we all know Lamar Jackson can run, but he's really been staying in the pocket and throwing, especially now that he's got wide receivers, Zay Flowers, the rookie, and also Odell Beckham Jr. It's impressive to see what he's been able to do with his game now, a couple years in.
Yeah, he has. He's much better there than he has been. To me, what still makes him mega dangerous is that he can get that in the passing game, but then he can also kill you getting outside the pocket. And I think where the Jaguars have a chance to stay even against the Ravens. Look, the Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL. You're probably not going to shut them down and blow them out. But what gives you a chance to maintain with the Ravens, same thing as last year with Lamar, The Jaguars' defense is much better than it was 2 or 3 years ago with mobile quarterbacks, keeping them in the pocket, not letting those guys just kill you play after scramble after scramble. I think the Jaguars, because of Josh Allen, Trayvon, the linebackers are very good. They can contain Lamar. They cannot let him have the 70-yard run or the multiple 15-yard runs that just make a drive. I think they match up okay there, and Brian, that's going to give them a chance to hold serve against them, maintain, and not let that factor win the game. The Ravens' defense scares me as much as that.
Yeah, the Ravens' defense is really good. Look, the Jaguars' defense has to play smart football. They have not gotten home the last 2 weeks. A little bit of pressure on Browning, but what was he, 32 of 37 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Football? And then you got this guy here who he's not looking to run, as you mentioned, Kai. Todd Monken's offense gives him more options if he stays in the pocket, and you've seen him grow throughout the course of the year. But if you run past him, and we've seen that from this Jaguars defense, a guy gets out of his gap, runs too far, this guy's going to go for 25 yards and put himself in scoring position like that. This is about playing smart, and I don't think the Jaguars defense has had too many bad games this year, but the last 2 weeks have not been their best.
All right, our final big thing today is going to be growing up. Obviously, the Jaguars went on a great run at the end of last season to a little bit unexpectedly make the playoffs. This year, they're achieving at a pace we probably predicted, but now they're on a 2-game losing streak, and Doug Peterson says that they can't really use that youth excuse anymore.
Everybody's played. Rookies are no longer rookies. This is week 15. I can't hide behind that anymore. Can't use that as an excuse anymore. Every team's in week 15. There's no more buys. Every rookie's played. I mean, it's just everybody has to focus that much greater.
Brian, this is a young team, but they're not inexperienced at this point. And I think this is a point where Doug wants to see that maturity level kind of step up and see them kind of take hold of this opportunity, especially on either Sunday Night Football or the home stretch as a whole.
Well, you decide how you want them to play. Do you want them to play loose and free? I mean, let's be honest. They're not in real contention for the number 1 overall seed like they were 2 weeks ago when Cincinnati was here. I mean, they could get there, but it's not the most likely scenario. Or do you want them to play desperate, right? Like the Niners were on a 3-game losing streak. Like the Browns were last week, where they played super hungry in front of their home crowd because they understood that they were on the margins of the playoffs, but they could find themselves behind the 8 ball in a very competitive AFC. You choose. Myself, I'd like to see them come out with it's so esoteric, John, but just a sense of desperation. Like, hey, look, we haven't played our best football. We're on Sunday Night Football in prime time, and we didn't play well last time. So let's get out there and play good football against the best team in the AFC. Let's be hungry to show the rest of the country, what we are, and not let them walk away thinking what we're not.
Yeah, the Jaguars in the last few weeks, and I would include this week, are in one of those crisis points of the season. And when I say crisis, I probably mean defining more than that. They're beat up. They are in first place, but they've lost a couple of games that they haven't been blown out in. They just haven't quite gotten there, and there's plenty of reasons for it. The injuries, Trevor's ankles, mistakes. At some point during those stretches, really good teams get one and sort of right the ship. And I think that's what Doug would like to see this week. Hey, it's tough. The NFL is not easy. You're playing a first-place schedule this year, which means you're playing teams like the Ravens and the Niners and the Chiefs instead of the other teams. At some point, go get one of those late in the season that puts you over the top where you're not necessarily favored in the game. And it takes what Brian's talking about. It takes that desperation, that intensity, maybe making a play you didn't expect, somehow finding a way to use that cliche. I think that's what Doug would like to see this week, and that's what he's talking about with maturity. A mature team, a playoff team, figures out a way to somehow get this one even when people don't expect it.
I think you're right, John. Definitely a sense of urgency the team's going to need going into this game against the Ravens. All right, stay with us here on Jags AM as we go around the locker room and hear what everybody else has to say about the Ravens matchup.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Calling all Jags fans. Is your little one ready to become a junior Jaguar? Now through January 2nd, MyGate rewards loyalty members who buy 2 20-ounce Coca-Cola participating products will be entered to win one of 10 behind-the-scenes experiences at Everbank Stadium for your child. Plus, you'll earn a 10-cent rollback at the pump, a win every time. Fuel your child's dreams, your car, and your passion for the Jags with Gate, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
Welcome back to Jags AM, presented by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. You can step up to luxury at fieldsauto.com. Welcome back. We're here in the Hyundai Studios as we get ready for Sunday Night Football. 2008 was the last Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, October 5th, 2008, they played a game against the Steelers, and it was John Madden's last Jaguars game, last game in Jacksonville. So, to be honest with you, I had to go back and look it up. It wasn't the most memorable game. Although Rasheed Mathis had a pick six early in the game to give the Jaguars a lead over Ben Roethlisberger. Rasheed, who was a 3-time Pro Bowl corner, would just always seem to be the Steelers' nemesis. That guy that just always had Roethlisberger looking around going, where is he? Where is he? But it was John Madden's last game, and I remember having a conversation with him in the hallway about the importance of this team starting to win, because they weren't much, and knowing that Jacksonville really needed this team to start to get some traction so that their future would be secure, and he thought they would. So,
well, very good.
And now they are.
Yeah, it took a little longer than I think any of us
years.
thought.
I was going to say,
but I
many,
do
many
remember
years
that
later.
conversation with him. Nice man.
He was right. All right, cool. Let's talk a little bit about what's been going on in the locker room. We got down there yesterday, talked to some of the guys about, whether they're hitting the panic button right now. Evan Engram had a very strong response to that.
Just adversity. That's what life is about. That's what this league is about. And obviously, we got the guys in here to figure it out and to respond and turn this thing around. And it's cool. We're sitting at 8-5, and we know we could be better. So we're definitely gonna go out and try to respond and get back in the win column for sure.
Now, the first part of that one was, hell no, it's not time to panic.
No, he was fired up yesterday. I had another conversation with him for radio pregame, and he said, "Look, those lights are damn bright." And everybody needs to respond. We were talking about urgency, choose your word, sense of desperation. But he said everybody needs to respond to the challenge that we have. And to each his own was his specific phrase. Everybody's going to come to the game prepared in their own way, feeling their own way, desperate, hungry, loose and relaxed, whatever. He says it isn't about one common theme and everybody's on the same wavelength. It is about everybody responding to the challenge that we face in their own way.
Yeah, it's the Jaguars have waited a long time to be a contender, and contending in the NFL these days is this. I mean, last year was sort of unique in that the Jaguars got on a roll, and they kind of came from nowhere, and everything felt sort of inevitable. Like when you look back on it, it felt inevitable they're going to win those 5 games and get it. That's not the story, but usually there are some teams like 49ers this year that look like they're just the team and they're sort of rolling. Well, that's a rare thing to reach in the NFL. Usually you have some adversity late in the season. It's a league of attrition. You've got some injuries. You play well for a few weeks, you sink back because everybody else is good. You're playing contenders, and the league wants these last games to be competitive. They try to schedule tough games. So this is sort of what it is, and I think Evan's point is, look, forget about what happened last week. Go win this one, figure out a way to win this one, get it, and then figure out the next one. And it's hard to sort of analyze that, but at some point you're out there playing games, and you're not necessarily worlds better than the opponent. You just find a way to win that week, and and you move on. And that's the Jaguars' task this week. They're not favored. I'm not sure they're going to win, but they're very capable of winning if they play well. They just haven't the last couple of weeks.
To your point, they are saying the exact same thing in Kansas City right now, where they've lost 2 in a row, in Philadelphia, where they've lost 2 in a row, in Miami and in Detroit. I mean, even the contenders, those teams, if you follow such things as power rankings that have been in the top all year long, they're all dealing with this too. And it was only late October that the Niners were dealing with this. They lost back-to-back games to backup quarterbacks. And you're thinking, what's the matter with them? And they got hot.
I got an angry email this week. I want this team to be consistent. And I said, outside of San Francisco, find me one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Yes, the Jaguars are inconsistent right now. But everybody else in the league, okay, Dallas too.
Yeah.
Right now they're on a roll. But the Niners are the team that are consistent. In the AFC, nobody is.
You know, the Dolphins scored 70 points in September.
Right.
And since then, they have been up and down and up and down and up. Now, what do you think they're saying in South Florida about consistency? Where's the team that scored 70? Well, do you expect that every week?
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
They do. Yes, they do. Elsewhere in the locker room, Calvin Ridley kind of weighing in. We've been talking about the issues with the route running, and Trevor was talking about miscommunication as well. And Ridley kind of broke down what he saw on that play on one of the interceptions.
On that type of play, the ball can go to me, it can go to someone else, and it's a look. I thought I had a certain look, and I was trying to, get my feet on, get up on the DB and take him a certain way so we could get another person to pop open. But it was a different look, and I didn't get my head around faster, and the ball came out a little faster than I thought. But if I would have, I just need to be locked in that moment more and just see the look better and get my head around faster, and it would have been a different type of play.
According to Ridley, running the right route, not the look he thought, misidentified what the defense was doing, thought it was going somewhere else, happens. If that's something they need to get on the same page about, obviously, to kind of just always be prepared. And especially, I'm sure it's being emphasized this week without Christian Kirk out there, because there's not always that guy that's going to be the first option. Maybe a lot of the time, you have to be ready at all times.
Well, and another radio conversation I had yesterday was with wide receivers coach Chad Hall. And he talked about he used the word cohesion. He talked about that unspoken communication between a quarterback and a wide receiver. And then I was standing in the locker room yesterday and noticing that Trevor's locker is here and Calvin's locker is here. I mean, they have got to. Since the start of the season, there's no accident that these two guys are across from each other. They've been trying to build that sense of unspoken timing. How long did it take Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison to create that? How long did it take when Reggie Wayne came in to be able to be that target that Peyton Manning was looking at? I'm not trying to excuse the mistakes he made. I'm saying this is part of the process of two guys coming together.
Yeah, and it's rarely, especially with route running and offense in the NFL these days, it's rarely one thing. This guy did this poorly. It's usually over the course of a game more. You got a lot of read routes. You got a lot of routes that play off of, okay, the defense is doing
routes,
this.
right.
Now the quarterback sees this, the wide receiver sees this. I keep going back to, yes, the communication has been a bit clunky with Calvin at times, with Trevor. But everything was sort of going in a good direction offensively until Trevor didn't practice last week. Yeah. So I do think that's sort of become a forgotten element of there was really no reps at all with these guys. And up until he got hurt against Cincinnati, the last couple of games, I felt it was going smooth even without Christian. Then all of a sudden, guess what? He doesn't practice and it looks clunky. Well,
that's how it goes.
That makes sense to me. I think it'll be better this week. There's still going to be some of that because, frankly, Calvin was out 2 years, and this is still a young offense trying to get these things, and you're going to have this in the NFL sometimes.
Yeah, and the other thing Chad Hall said when we had our conversation after practice yesterday was that the head coach, had personally challenged all of the coaches to make fixes, right? To look differently at it. And in fact, Doug said it in his news conference on both Monday and Wednesday, and that was the first thing that Chad went to. So it's not just the players who are trying to communicate, it's the coaches who are working it as well. They're attacking this problem, right? This issue from last week at every angle.
And Calvin said something that I thought was interesting yesterday too. It was sort of after one of the questions, he goes, I just kind of wish the guy had dropped the ball, we'd had another chance. And there is an element of that. Yeah. We're focused on that one play because the Browns got an interception off of it. Every team in the league has miscommunications at times, between receivers and quarterbacks, that one really bit the Jags. So we're talking about it a lot, and there was it showed up big time on Sunday. It really hurt them. It doesn't always hurt you that much. A lot of teams weren't hurt by it. So I think this is this week's topic. I don't know that miscommunication with receivers has been a season-long thing that's defined it, but they got to get it fixed now.
I think it's interesting that you're talking about Doug Peterson telling coaching staff to try something new, because a lot of what we talked about is we're making mistakes. The game plan is sound. The plans are what they are. It's just the player's execution or making self-inflicted wounds. But it is a nice change, I'll say, to see a little bit of, hey, we need to do a couple things differently. What we are doing is not, even if we do it to perfection, is not perfect, and we need to kind of adapt and move forward. So that's some growth there. That's good to see as well. One of the people that is stepping up in the absence of Christian Kirk has been Evan Engram. He's been lighting the world on fire, got his first touchdown of the year on Monday Night Football, and then, of course, got a couple touchdowns against the Browns as well. And he says this Ravens defense is going to be a tough matchup as well.
They play with a lot of swagger. They play really tough. They push people around. And they're playing really well. As part of they have a great offense and a great defense. So it's going to be a challenge. They're going to be in our house. They came here last year, and they're probably trying to respond to how the game ended last year. So we're going to get their best punch, but we got the guys to go do it for sure.
John, I have to imagine Evan's going to be targeted quite a bit.
There's some good-looking media around here. I know that.
I saw you focused into that.
To me, Evan has, in this offense, even when the running game's going well, the passing game is part of the running game in the West Coast offense. That hasn't been as effective with receivers necessarily this year, but to me, a lot of Evan's production is making up for the lack of a running game a little bit, because Trevor really relies on it. When they're in 2nd and 9, it's going to Evan a lot, getting to 3rd and 2, getting to 3rd and manageable. That isn't, Evan's not effective. I think it makes him very important in this right now, because you need that tight end. He's on pace, I think, to catch more passes than anybody except Jimmy in 1999. He's probably going to reach that number because they're using him that way. The most impressive thing about Evan in the last couple of weeks, all of a sudden the red zone production's there. Mm-hmm. And it really hadn't been. I don't think he's ever going to be a 35-yard per catch guy like that. But if he can keep giving you that in the red zone, that's an element that they lacked for 12 games or for 11 games. If that's there and they start putting it together, that's really big in December, Brian.
If you were the Ravens, you'd take him away, right?
Try to, yeah.
I mean, that's where you send Kyle Hamilton, who was limited in practice. He's got the knee from last week. That's where Roquan Smith, who is an excellent linebacker, that's where you'd put him. So to me, you said he'll be targeted a lot. They'll try. This is where Parker Washington and Zay Jones and Tim Jones or Elijah Cooks, or whenever the ball comes your way, it may only be twice. Man, you got to make the catch, especially if it's on 3rd down. You've got to pull this one in. This is going to be a game where Evan's going to get some plays. He's going to make some plays. He's really a tough matchup. But this Ravens defense is excellent. It's going to come down to another guy making a clutch catch in a key moment.
Should be. All right, coming up after the break here on Jags AM, we're going to go over who we think will be some big playmakers on Sunday Night Football against Baltimore.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all your move-in ready homes. and step up your game.
Hey Jags Nation, it's Andre Sisco, safety of your Jacksonville Jaguars, here to talk to you about Lou Ray Peanut Company. Lou Ray is bringing something to the market that has never been done before, microwavable boiled peanuts. Whether you like salty or a peppery Cajun kick, they've got you covered. Now, thanks to them, y'all can enjoy boiled peanuts at the bank while you watch me and the rest of the team tear it up on the field. Can't make the game? No sweat. Find a bag at a store nearest to you by heading to LouRayPeanut.com/find us. Go nuts, go Jags, and as always, Duval.
Sudeth is Florida's trusted and reliable moving company, and they are proud to be the official moving partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. To get a guaranteed quote, you can visit sudeth.com/Jags.
Definitely. I mean, we got four games left. You know, we're in a fine position. You know, where we're at record-wise. We got to take care of business this week and moving forward. But we got to take it 1 week at a time, and need to get back on track this week for sure. But yeah, there's still plenty of time. You know, you look at where we're at. If we could have been in this position last year, we would have given a lot to be here. So you know, there's no panic, but there is a sense of urgency where this time of year, December going into January, you got to be playing your best football, and we're not there yet. So we got some work to do.
Still plenty of time to get things figured out, and it is a good point. This was very different this time last year, and you reeled off all those wins in a row, and that was wonderful. But now that you're in, you know, you build up this kind of lead, so if something like this happens, it doesn't break your season.
Well, and John talked about it, managing attrition, managing the injuries, and you've got guys now who you are either getting back or who have been back for a week or two, and you hope get closer to being 100%. Can I just go ahead with my he will, he won't, he might? Because my guy's one of those guys, and that's Zay Jones. You know, he's been playing with a knee since week 2, and he missed a good portion of the season. Then he comes back, and he's playing with a brace, which he had never played with before. He told me not long ago that he's finally feeling like he's getting back to 100%. And he's a guy who loves to play in prime time. It saves just a little bit of energy, right, for these kinds of games. So I expect that he will come out, and he will be the go-to guy. He will be that guy who has 10 targets, 9 catches, 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. And remember, he was the guy that caught the 2-point conversion last year that beat the Ravens. So he'll be that guy. I don't know that he's going to be that breakaway guy that he's been, right? I mean, he's the big speed guy, down the field guy. I'm not sure he's ready, from a knee perspective, to be able to get down the field like that. But I do believe that he might be the difference maker in this game and catch the game-winning touchdown pass, because we have forgotten with Christian and with Evan and with Zay's injury that last year he was a go-to guy. And having him back on the field, even with Christian's absence, makes a world of difference for the quarterback. It's another guy that he knows will be where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, when he's right, he really matters.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Sure does.
I wonder how much that knee injury is, because it's some things he's just a step off,
Yeah.
and I feel like if he was fully healthy, it would be.
He's getting there, he says, but it's that again. It's one of the stories where you hope that some of these guys who are back and playing through injury, all of a sudden get a little healthier, get a little stronger, and feel more like themselves.
Yeah, it's tough because he hasn't been bad. I remember there was a big play down the sideline. He made a great catch against Houston. There's been a couple where it's been there. He's flashed open, and sometimes this league it's sort of circumstance. The guy makes a great play on you, but they definitely need They need defenses to respect him, bare minimum, to open everything else up. I went with Josh Allen. He will play well, because when hasn't he played well this year? I think that's probably the most telling thing about Josh, even beyond in games where he comes off the field and says, I could have done more. He's still playing well. He's been, I think, their most consistent player all year. I'm not sure who else I would put in that category.
No, it's him.
He won't disappear in this game. He won't. This is never too much for him, and he won't quit. I think the biggest thing you notice with Josh, even in the games where he doesn't get a sack, he's pressuring. Last week, he was close. You don't always get home when you're a sack guy. I thought he still mattered, and I think that's why you need to sign him and keep him around, because I've said it a million times, even when he doesn't, quote, play well, he plays well. Yeah. He might, he had the moment against Cincinnati and then they didn't win the game. He might make a play Sunday where he's the one talking to Melissa Stark after the game, or he might solidify himself on Sunday, primetime audience, as not only a Pro Bowler, but a guy everybody around the country says, oh, he's good, that's why the Jaguars are good. This might be his night.
This one becomes the Josh Allen instead of Jaguars Josh Allen? Is this a chance?
Instead of Bills Josh Allen? Well, he was that on one glorious day in a weird season.
Yeah, that was a really weird season. You've got to pick him next week if he doesn't get the sack record, because, it's coming.
I think it's coming. I think it's going to be Sunday Night Football.
And wouldn't it be cool for him
absolutely.
if he got that on Sunday Night Football in a win, the whole story? And he's the kind of player, some guys get in a situation and they wilt. He's the kind of player who rises to it.
I hope so. I hope we're right. I went with Foye Oluokun from my He Will, He Won't, He Might, because he will need to be the catalyst if they're going to fix this communication on defense. We've talked about this for a couple weeks now, about things have not been going the way they want to, whether it's the secondary or just not, reading things correctly, it's buying on the run, whatever it may be. He's kind of the captain out there, and he's going to need to be, the sounding piece between the defensive backs and the pass rush, especially now with so many players that are backups playing in the secondary. He won't have the luxury of not having a good tackling game like he did on Monday Night Football, because with Lamar Jackson, so much of it is, keeping him in the pocket and tackling him if he does go out of the pocket. So with that, I think he might have the ability to maybe force some turnovers, because as we know, Lamar does like to get out of the pocket and run a little bit when he has that opportunity. And of course, Foye will hopefully be there to make the tackle.
He's played at such a high level this season. The last 2 weeks have not been up to that standard that he sets for himself. I saw him overrun plays, which he never does, against the Bengals. And last week, he had a communication issue with Devin Lloyd. You just don't expect that. So he's one of those guys that I expect to come out and play well, because that's who he is. That's what he does. Johnny had a big game against Lamar Jackson last year. He had a bunch of tackles. I think that was his 18-tackle game.
It was. And he's key against this team because they want to run. Lamar's so key. If the linebackers don't play well, meaning make tackles 2 yards off line of scrimmage and not 5, then they don't win this game. And against the Ravens, your linebackers have to play well.
Stay with us on Jags AM after the break. We'll go over what we've got going on for Sunday Night Football this week at the bank.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
Sudeth is on the 20, the 10. Yes, another successful move to a new home. I tell you, folks, I've never seen a team more prepared than the Sudeth crew. With a dominating lead in training, trust, and efficiency, it's no wonder why Sudeth is the official moving company of the Jacksonville Jaguars. For the past 100 years, Sudeth has provided local, long-distance, and international moving services in Jags. While the Jags are moving the chains on game day, Sudeth is helping you on moving day. Visit Sudeth.com/Jags for a guaranteed quote.
Jags fans, if you want customized Jaguars furniture for your home, check out zipchair.com to browse all customizable options. ZipChair is furniture made for fans. And Sunday Night Football, this home game against the Ravens, is brought to you by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Let's go, D! Oh, make a play, make a play, make a play. I'm making a play right here.
They're down in 4. Flacco intercepted. He put it right in the chest of Darius Williams. The Jaguars defense needed that.
Let's go! Let's go! Attaboy shooter. Attaboy shooter.
This became a little bit of a smash-up derby out there, and the receiver can't get there. And Darius Williams fills the void and happily takes it away.
That was you? You helped me.
Darius Williams mic'd up last week, and he doesn't always talk a lot, but on the field it was pretty amusing. I will say it was one of my more interesting mics ups that I've
He
seen.
should talk more. He's having a hell of a season. 17 passes defense, near the top of the league, 4 interceptions. I didn't expect that kind of a performance from him this year. I expected him to be steady. I didn't expect him to be, the best cover corner out there. Of course, Tyson Campbell's been injured for so long, but he's really been nice.
No, I said before, I had egg on my face with this, and I thought he'd be a weakness. I mean, he was not great playing the nickel last year early, and he played well after that. I sort of ignored that. This year, he's been their best corner. Tyson hadn't been on the field, so credit to him. And
pride of Creekside High.
Yeah, he was on the Ozone podcast earlier, 4 or 5 weeks ago. He doesn't love doing media, so fans haven't really gotten to know him a whole lot. But he's a very engaging, interesting young man when you talk to him.
Sunday Night Football this week, first time since 2008, as we've talked about. I do want to remind everybody to be in their seats early. The light show was pretty cool for Monday Night Football. Sunday Night Football is the teal out, so they're doing the teal light show as well. And there'll be little cards when you get to your seat, and you can put a little teal cover on top of your phone, and then it'll all be a teal show as well. John, do you think you could handle it?
Oh, I can handle it.
There's a card.
I'm ready.
It should be foolproof. Just scan it on there. If
It kind of makes me laugh when you mentioned the teal out before the Monday night game. Why don't they do a teal out? Why don't they do a teal out? They're doing a blackout.
Guess what?
Just be patient.
Are they wearing all teal?
Yes.
Yeah, teal out.
Everybody's wearing teal.
Team teal.
Team teal. Team teal. All right, everybody, enjoy the return of Sunday Night Football to Jacksonville. We'll be with you next week as we go over, hopefully, a Jaguars win against the Ravens. Enjoy the game.